Hi guys, today I'll be teaching you two chess openings that I like. So the first one will be the Vienna game, which turns into Vienna Gambit after you play a move. And the second one will be the ponziani. So yeah, let's start with the Vienna. So the Vienna starts like this. E4, that's what you play. Your opponent plays E5. Instead of playing knight F3 attacking their pawn, you will play knight C3. If your opponent plays knight C6, then you just develop your bishop. If your opponent copies you, then you have a very great attack on them. It's queen G4. I know on my last video I said putting out the queen too early is not good, but here in this case you're attacking their pawn, which would take some time to defend, and is a very strong move, very attacking, in which your opponent might just instead push their pawn to G6 and not worry about it anymore, because they don't want to just put their queen out here and stop their knight from developing, because that checkmate threat is not very much of a threat, because it can be stopped by one move. So yes, they might just play G6, damage the pawn structure, because the bishop's already out here. If like the bishop's right here still, if the bishop's right there on F8, then the bishop will just come here and have a strong position, a long scoping bishop. But now the bishop's here, so this is just a dark squared weakness. And an upcoming move your opponent might play is knight F6, which then you do the Vienna Gambit F4, which just gives up your pawn for free, right? Yes, but even though you give up your pawn, that's why it's called Gambit, you attack your knight on E5, which your knight cannot go anywhere because it's controlled by other pieces like the queen and then your knight. So which, instead of developing your other knight, you develop C knight to C3. And then when you develop your knight to C3, you control these two squares, so when you attack the knight cannot go to any other squares but undeveloped to G8. Which means when your opponent plays knight G8, you have a big advantage of winning this game. But if you want to keep the advantage, you have to play knight F3. If you play any other moves but knight F3, the queen can go to H4 and get a dangerous check on king. But knight F3 prevents that because it controls that square. So yeah, your position is very strong. Two knights develop, opponent nothing develop, a weakness, pawn weakness here. So after you just develop and then just open up to take the center, castle, then your position is very great. You might just take the pawn back. Your position will be very great, while your opponent might take a bit more time to develop this knight. So another opening I want to show you is the ponziani, which I play a lot, and I play in my games too. In which starts with E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, then you play C3. Playing C3 gets ready to go D4. Your opponent's most common response might be knight F6, which then you play D4. Taking the pawn is, with the knight, is risky because this kicks your knight out. You go here, then you lose a pawn, and most people might blunder and play D6 because you check, and then you won't just come block because it's a free thing or free bishop, and you lose your queen because It'd be checkmate if the bishop takes. So people might go c6, which then you take with the pawn. If they take that, you take with the knight. Taking the knight is the best move because it attacks the queen. If the knight takes back, then you just take the bishop with a fork on the king and rook. So, like, they're gonna put their queen to c7 to, you know, just protect it, and then your knight just jumps away and get a discovered attack on the king, and you're completely winning. And you have a strong position, and yeah, just keep it. You gotta keep it that way to win. So, but there's another line I think your opponent might play, which is taking your pawn. But taking your pawn is not a big deal. All you gotta do is push to e5, and wherever your opponent goes, you just take the pawn back. You just take the pawn back, and you're very strong. If your opponent just continues to develop, you just kind of go bishop c4, attack your knight, which your knight will move. And then your position is very strong, center control, very good, and you're gonna win. Another line your opponent might play might be, instead of knight f6, they might play d5, which then you play queen a4. I would recommend that, but you know, other people might like other lines like d4, just take the pawn. But yeah, queen a4 pins the knight to the king, and you're threatening the knight to take this pawn, and then also there's a defense this pawn, so if they take, you just take back, and you're attacking this pawn. So which is a weakness for your opponent. The pawn, which they might just let defend it with bishop d6. So yeah, I'll be playing these two openings in my games right now, and let's see. I think I'm playing against an intermediate player. Let's do 1100. So I'll be playing the Vienna first, and then the ponziani. But when I do the Pirk, that might not work. Let's try to get him to play e5. Okay, I'll take some time to do. Will he play e5? Thank you. So this is a Vienna. Knight c3 instead. Which they will copy. Then you just develop this. Then you just go, if they develop and copies all your move, then you just go bishop g4, which is a pretty good move. Like I said, they might go queen f6, setting up mate. Then you just block one knight, or you just put your queen back and offer a queen trade, which will be good for you because your knight can just develop it free instead of, you know, waiting a little. And that's a blunder. Okay, I gotta see this blunder, and now you can just castle manually by hand. And if you develop your knight to the side of the board, it's not that great. And this knight jumping up here actually creates a threat of taking this pawn with a fork on my rooks. So most likely I would just put the bishop back and defend it, because it still have a long diagonal scope. Which now you just offer the trade. Let's take that. The knight cannot take back, or else it's a fork. But I'll just take with my knight, because taking my knight is a good move because of a discovered attack that will win a rook. Your knight just goes, and there goes the rook. Yeah. And now you just escape your knight. So yes, that is the Vienna. But let me just win this game real quick. Which, if you already have a great position, just develop, attack their king a bit more, and you know, just win. Blocking might be a mistake because it opens the king a bit more. Attack a knight. Okay, blunder. Okay. I guess he's blundering piece after piece. There's a free pawn because the bishop's protected by the knight, which the king cannot be captured, so I'll just pin that. The bishop cannot move or the king can be taken, so I'll just stop the last place the king can go to with this move, and he defends. How do I attack this? Sacrificing the knight works. Sacrificing the knight actually creates a big threat. Just take. There you go. Now, after that, all you gotta do is just promote a pawn into the queen and checkmate. Just be careful not to stalemate in these positions, because there are lots of ways. Cut the king off so he cannot stop this promoting pawn. Yeah, most likely you just want to promote your pawn to the queen and endgame, so wait, not move the rook. There you go. There you go. And then that's mate. And that's the Vienna, so which kinda is a great opening according to my opinion. Like, you might have other opinions thinking some other openings are good, but yes, this is just my opinion that I think is good, because it kinda attacks your opponent a lot if you make the right moves. So let me show you the ponziani opening this time against Nelson. 1300 e4. Please, yes, thank you. Knight f3. Why is he putting the queen out? I'm not gonna play against Nelson. Okay, so I think I'll play this guy again. I hope he plays e5 though. Why is he doing the Pyrrhic a lot? Okay, e4, thank you very much. So knight f3, which you might defend with knight c6, yes. Then you play c3, the ponziani. Like I said, this is a very common move. Knight f6, then you just go to d4. And well, whatever that is. And you just pin, wait. You just pin the knight to the queen with your bishop to make a random move like that. Because you just have a threat of winning a knight. Which then you just take. Because the knight's been pinned to the queen. You don't want to lose the queen, right? Then of course, you won't move your knight and let that be gone. Okay, just go under that pawn. Like I said, the ponziani is pretty good if your opponent does not know how to play against it. Let's just pass real quick. Like, right here, he does not know how to play against it. So let's just open up my knight, or my queen's diagonal. for a trade of knights. Attack's pretty good on king. Maybe just pin the bishop. So that pawn is undefendable. And this kind of loses a pawn because it's in a pin. The bishop is an absolute pin, which means he cannot move. Which now I'm just gonna take the bishop. Well, my bishop, because why not? And now he's gonna lose a queen. And now check. Ignore everything going on here. Like, these pawn storm here is very good if my king is on Castle's queen side. Let me just move my bishop out of danger. So this is the ponziani, and if your opponent does not know how to play against it, it's a great opening. So yeah. What else? C2. Yeah, I'll trade bishops. And yeah, let's just win this game. Let's just not blunder the queen here. Blunder a queen will take a bit more longer to win. So yeah, like I said, these openings are pretty good. Wait a minute. Good thing I saw that in time. He's creating a mate threat over here, so of course I have to move knight. So stop that. And now that blunders the rook because of this fork. Because in chess, you most likely want to look for checks. Because you never know. When a check might help you win some games. But yeah, this mate is unstoppable. This. Next move that. Let's mate. And so yes, the Vienna and the ponziani opening are pretty good, like you saw in my 2 games here. If your opponent does not know how to play against it, then you're in great position. If your opponent does, then you might be in an okay position. But yes, if they blunder, you're gonna win. So yeah, thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.